I told you I would do this video. Yesterday I aired a video on Mother's Day gift giving ideas, fragrance gift giving ideas, mass market and designer fragrances for the ladies. Did you catch that video? If you haven't, you're looking for a Mother's Day gift. It's a great video to watch and find out some fragrance gift ideas to give to your mom, or if you're a mom, you're looking for a gift for yourself, please tune into that video. But today, as I did promise, a video on men's fragrances. Mostly designer, some mass market, well, all mass market, but some that are not fitting as a designer are featured here. 16 fragrances, mostly launched in 2024. One launched late last year. I've got it here as a ranked list. You're going to find out what they are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian. We're talking about mass market or designer fragrances for men. A lot of these are launched here in 2024. There's a lot of launches. If you remember, I do these videos on upcoming releases, and I've been able to pick up a lot of these fragrances and to talk to you guys about them. There's some good, there's some bad. Before I get to the list, do let me know what you've purchased so far as mass market or designer fragrances go for the men. What are you loving? What are you hating? Put a comment down below so I can find out. There's some bad ones here, especially number 16. We're starting off with a dud of a release, actually. It's really bad. And it's a bit confusing. Is it a male-targeted release or a unisex release? I'm a bit uncertain. I felt like this is a flanker, so it's a second release in the series. And I felt like the original was unisex, but some databases are claiming this is for men only. I'm putting it in this list. For me, it smells like a male fragrance. This is Diesel's Red. Comes in a really beautiful red. I think it's because it's got this red back here. The juice itself is not red. But terrible smell. Terrible. Awful smell. At least the initial fragrance, the original, was pretty decent. I wouldn't say it was groundbreaking or something really wow. But this is awful. I don't even know why I bought this. So I read some reviews, which I shouldn't do because I don't really like some people's, reviews and recommendations, because this is pretty bad. It's featuring notes of grapefruit, lavender, sandalwood, but this smells like a lot of other mass market designer fragrances. Nothing original about it. I'm not picking up a lot of the grapefruit and the lavender. To me, it smells like amber woods with slight touches of aromatics and maybe citruses. I would skip this one. If you're really dying to get it at a discount, because I don't think it's worth it. So that's at number 16. Moving on to a fragrance I was having high hopes for, which completely falls flat. It's BVLGARI's Man in Black Parfum. I reviewed this in Italy. I bought it in Italy. I don't even know if it's launched here in the States yet. I'm uncertain. For me, it smells great. Not too different than the original, the Toilette that came out 10 years ago. But to me, it wears like an EDP, if not an EDT. There's nothing parfum about this fragrance, and that's why it gets really, really low ranking here. I wanted to really enjoy this one. And again, it smells great and not too different than the original in EDT, but it performs like an EDT. EDP maybe like a cross between an EDT and an EDP. And I wanted a parfum performance, and it doesn't deliver in parfum performance. Let me know if you've gotten your nose on this one, and if you've worn it, what your thoughts are on it. But it features benzoin, black pepper, iris, cypriol, patchouli, cardamom, cinnamon, elemi resin, tuberose. I don't know what BVLGARI was thinking, but don't you know how to test fragrances, concentrations? Come on now. Give us a real parfum. This is not a parfum. Sorry, it's not, and it acts really weak on me. Let me know if you guys have the same experience. But this is extremely disappointing. If you want to find out more about it, you can catch my review about it. It's online right now. I shot that while I was on trip in March. It's been, online for a while. But moving on to the House of Tom Ford, it's Oud Mineral. This might also be a unisex offering. I'm putting it here in a male list because I feel like this leans masculine once again. And I mostly hear from men who appreciate this fragrance in the original private blend collection. For me, the remake, it's a complete dud. I like it a little more than the others, but not by a lot. For me, it doesn't smell well-rounded. It smells rough. it's almost like rough seas, you know? You're at the sea. It's really, really minerally and also marine. So it's not a pleasant wear. Plus it has this greasy oiliness that I quite don't like. I don't like it. But salty seaweed, oud blend, ambergris accord, smoky woods, musks, pink peppercorn, fir balsam. I know there are fans of this one. Some people came and said on the review, it smells just like the private blend. I don't get that. Whereas I had a challenging time with the private blend version. Later it grew on me and I started appreciating it. But when I'm wearing this against the other, this one is pretty awful. I don't know, maybe it needs to settle. Maybe that's what happened with the original. It settled and I was gifted a private blend bottle half full. And that probably matured, aged, whatever. And finally it started smelling great to me. But when I'm comparing both, I don't like it. I don't know if you guys enjoy this one. Oud Mineral and the signature line from Tom Ford is quite disappointing for me. So everything else starts smelling great. So the rest of the collection had a bit of a tough time putting it where I wanted to put it. But at number 13, it's ZADIG and Voltaire's This Is Really Him. This one right here. So this is a brand spanking new fragrance from the house of ZADIG and Voltaire designer house. A flanker of multiple releases in the This Is Him collection. There's also a This Is Her collection. And to me, it's pretty decent. It's Eau de Toilette Intense is what it says. Yep. And I wish they created a more intense Eau de Parfum and Eau de Parfum Intense concentration like they've done for the ladies. But in the end, it's amber woods, Palo Santo, metallic orange blossom accord, bright grapefruit, sparkling lemons. For me, it's a lot fresher than the original, which is what I've said. And I think they've boosted up that orange blossom quite a bit, where I don't find the orange blossom in the original. It's not orange blossomy. In the original, we had sandalwood, black pepper, I believe, vanilla, and grapefruit. This is what's in there, and I feel like that has more intensity than this one. It could be that concentration-wise, they're not working the same way. This is Eau de Toilette Intense, the other is Eau de Toilette. But I feel like they're calling this one the most intense version in the This Is Him series of fragrances, where they're giving us a lot more brighter citruses, where I consider citruses lighter. So it's gotten ranked a little low for me as far as smell goes. I appreciate the smell a lot more than the other three fragrances that I've spoken about so far, but there's something not right. Something sitting with me that's not right. That's why I'm ranking this one a bit lower. But I think it's pleasant. I think a lot of people should appreciate it. But for me, I prefer the original DNA a little more than this particular one. So this is Really Him from the house of ZADIG and Voltaire. Next up, going to the house of Givenchy. It's a Gentleman's Society Eau de Parfum Extreme. Okay, these flankers are starting to get a bit confusing, and also I'm not really appreciating this new series of fragrances for the house of Givenchy for men. Originally, the fragrances were created by Olivier Cresp and Nathalie Lorson. Now we have a different perfumer creating this series, and it hasn't really won me over yet. Even the Eau de Parfum Extreme hasn't won me over. I feel like it's pleasant. It should satisfy. It's crowd pleasing and things like that. But it's not a wow fragrance for me. It's featuring notes of coffee, iris, vanilla, vetiver, sandalwood, peppermint, sage, nutmeg, daffodil, and cedar. Yeah, some of the notes from the original are in here. The coffee is a nice addition. Takes it into a bit of a gourmand direction. And I feel like they've chosen the iris and the vanilla, which were present in the original series that were created by Olivier Cresp and Nathalie Lorson. Now, this particular perfumer is Karine de Breuil-Sereni. I like some of her creations, but I'm not really appreciating this particular creation. It's not like a wow fragrance for me. It's pleasant. It will satisfy for someone that's looking for a decent designer release, but I think there could be a lot more done with this particular fragrance to make it a bit more wow. For me, it's not a wow fragrance, but definitely enjoying it a little more than the other fragrances. So this is Givenchy Gentleman's Society Eau de Parfum Extreme. If they make the names of these fragrances longer, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. But this next fragrance from the house of Armani, it's Stronger With You Tobacco. Are you familiar with this one? I think this is much better than the amber that came out before this one. Let me know if you've been able to sample the leather, the oud, the amber, and now the tobacco. So the tobacco, unfortunately, is lacking tobacco. Where the hell is the tobacco? So it's not giving me tobacco vibes, unfortunately. I do get a lot of spices. I get amber as well. And that signature chestnut note or gourmand quality nuttiness of the chestnut is here. It reminds me a lot of the original DNA of Stronger With You fragrances. For me, it's not my all-time favorite collection of fragrances from the designers. I really enjoyed the leather. I felt like the leather was the best for me. The oud was also good, but then followed by the oud, it would be tobacco. I just wanted more tobacco, and sadly, I'm not getting it. I wanted something like ashy, a bit dirty, maybe even leafy. Maybe there is the leafiness of tobacco in here, but I'm not even getting the leafiness. It's mostly the ambery touches and spices, the chestnut and woods in here, which is a shame because if you're advertising tobacco, you kind of are craving tobacco, and you're not delivering tobacco, Armani. Come on, get with the program here. Let me know if you're experiencing the same thing with Armani Stronger With You tobacco. I've ranked it here at number 11 as far as a 2024 release goes. I hope this was launched in 2024. It might have been late last year, but I think it came out this year. Moving on to the house of Narciso Rodriguez. It's Narciso Rodriguez for HOMME Vetiver Musk. I do appreciate this one, and as I've been mentioning in other videos or past videos, this is going to shine in the heat. We are kind of getting really close to summer. This would be a great Father's Day gift idea if you're looking for a Father's Day gift idea, because this would be perfect warm weather fragrance. It's got that crisp, clean quality about it. It's featuring notes of cypress, nutmeg, cardamom, musk, bourbon, geranium, red seaweed, vetiver, lavender, cedarwood, and patchouli. Very nicely made fragrance. It's highlighting vetiver and musk together. It's a clean fragrance. It's not overwhelming. I could see this being a crowd pleaser, one of those kind of fragrances that you would spray on over and over again every day and then replenish at the end of the day. You know, it's the kind of fragrance that you wear day in and day out, like a signature fragrance. It's not like an extremely wow fragrance, but it's definitely something you would wear. And again, keep this for the warmer days. I think this is going to shine during the heat because it's got that crisp, clean touches that I think it's going to be perfect for the heat. So this is Narciso Rodriguez for HOMME Vetiver Musk. I've ranked that at number 10. All right, next up, going to the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier. We're going to Scandal Pour Homme Absolu. So now we're on the third flanker of this series, and it's only been out, what, 3 years? 2 years? They're cranking them out, right? But I do have to say, this is probably my favorite version of this series. I like its intensity and its smell. But once again, we're dealing with chestnuts. If you're familiar with By the Fireplace from the house of Maison Margiela, it gives me a similar vibe, but not exactly like that fragrance. It doesn't have that light smokiness that's present there. This one has the Mirabelle plums, of course, the chestnuts and sandalwood. For me also, the chestnuts in here, in the Jean-Paul Gaultier Scandal Pour Homme Absolu, reminds me of the chestnuts in Stronger With You tobacco, or basically just the DNA of that collection of fragrances. It's decent enough, but I prefer some of the other fragrances more. I feel like the chestnuts in a fragrance like this, I've smelled chestnuts in fragrances. Some are really good. Some become a bit boring. This is not one, once again, not one of those wow fragrances that I want from a designer. It's not like Le Male Elixir, where that fragrance was really potent, super potent, intense, and amazingly, you know, like beastly. Like it's one of the most intense designer fragrances. I wanted this to be like that as well, and even though they're claiming it like that, when I'm putting it against Le Male Elixir, nothing like that. This is the absolute version of this fragrance. Will they come out with an elixir even though this is a parfum? What will they do? I don't know, but both Le Male Elixir and Scandal Pour Homme Absolu are parfum concentration, and when you're putting them side by side, for me, Le Male Elixir totally beats this thing's ass because it doesn't act like it. So I feel like the notes they're using in this are kind of softer in comparison to the notes they're using in there. So I prefer the other one more. That's why this is ranked a little lower. But this one also has a lot more cozy qualities in comparison to the other, if that makes sense. In the end, you might prefer this one over the other. I prefer the other one for its intensity, also the smell. Here, you might find this to be a bit more cozy. It has a little bit more of a holiday vibe, the chestnuts, the plums, and the sandalwood together. It's a toss-up, but either way, at 9, Jean-Paul Gaultier Scandal Pour Homme not Parfum, Absolu. Moving on to the house of Boss. This is Boss Bottled Elixir, this one right here. I was wondering when I reviewed the... I'm sorry, no, this is not Boss Bottled Elixir. This is Boss Bottled Triumph Elixir. Because when I reviewed the Boss Bottled Elixir last year, I said, I hope they end with this and start a new series. But obviously, they didn't end with it. They came out with a new flanker of the Elixir. They came out with the Triumph Elixir. This has notes of patchouli leaves, violet leaves, vetiver essence. For me, I love the idea of patchouli. This is not a patchouli-like psychedelic. It's a cleaned up patchouli. It doesn't have the rough and dirtiness. It doesn't have that chocolate cakiness that I really appreciate. This is more of a mass market designer patchouli. And also, does it smell like Boss Bottled at all? No. No. For me, this has some light similarities, to the now discontinued Fahrenheit Absolu with oud in it. Light. I'm not saying it's a lot, but it hints at it because that's a violet leaves fragrance. This has violet leaves and it reminds me of it. It doesn't remind me of the original Boss Bottled Elixir, but then it does. So they're kind of coming up with various new fragrances and capitalizing on the names once again. So I feel like this is unnecessary, but then again, I'm appreciating the smell as the designer fragrance goes because I love patchouli and violet leaves together. It makes for a great wear. Once again, I think this is also one of those fragrances can be an everyday fragrance. We're definitely not breaking any new ground. I've smelled fragrances like this from the designer. As I said, it reminds me of Oud Absolu from Dior Fahrenheit Oud Absolu. But then that came out and it got discontinued a long time ago. So now we can have something similar to it. So definitely I'm ranking it here at number 8. You might appreciate this one more. Maybe you don't like it, but let me know what your thoughts are. It's Boss Bottled Triumph Elixir. Next, going to the house of Guerlain, it's Vetiver Parfum. I have a bit of a tough time deciding where this one goes compared to the other 2 parfums from Guerlain, but I think this is put at the right place. I enjoy it. It's a more beefy, robust take on the original Guerlain Vetiver, which was a major fragrance for me. I wore so much of it when I was younger. In my 20s even, I wore Guerlain Vetiver and really enjoyed it. And at that time, maybe even that concentration was as strong as the Parfum concentration here because fragrances have gotten diluted, and that's why a lot of these brands are making these more higher concentration. And this is definitely much beefier. It's robust with juniper berries. The vetiver is here. There are smoky notes, tonka, coriander, and licorice. And don't forget, Vetiver Extreme from Guerlain. I did find a bottle. I have a backup bottle of it. I really loved it. It was slightly different, a bit more aromatic, spicy with a touch of licorice, and they've brought it here in the Parfum, and that really does satisfy. So Guerlain Vetiver Parfum at number 7. Then Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Parfum here at number 6. Man, did I tell you in the review? I did tell you in the review. This one smells really, really great. It's a bit lacking in performance. It goes down pretty fast, as you can see. I've worn quite a bit of this one because it just goes down. It doesn't linger on. But as a smell, it's so good. I wish they made it a lot more concentrated. It's amaretto liqueur, leather, patchouli, musky notes. It's basically taking the original L'Homme Ideal, which was a bit boring for me, and making it more exciting, boozy. Patchouli is also great. I mentioned the patchouli that I remember in the sport edition of this. I didn't care for the sport edition because it was very marine, but it had a really nice patchouli dry down. They've carried that over here, which is really fantastic. If that patchouli wasn't in here, this would be a complete dud because that patchouli carries the fragrance, even though I feel like it's a bit weak. I don't know, this might come off pretty strong and potent for you guys. For me, when you compare it against the Vetiver and the Habit Rouge in this collection, it's the weakest, but as a smell, it's great, as I said. So I've put it here at number 6. L'Homme Ideal Parfum. Then moving on to the house of Prada, Luna Rossa Ocean Le Parfum. So I have not worn any of the ocean fragrances from Prada, and the only one I already currently own is Luna Rossa Black. So I don't know anything about the previous versions, but I smelled this in passing someplace, really enjoyed the smell, and I ended up buying it. This is featuring notes of lemons, saffron accord, oak wood notes, and I know there's some ambery notes in here as well, but they're not listing the ambery notes on the brand's website or anything, but I feel like there's a molecular ambery notes in here. Maybe amber or like an ambroxan or something like that in here, because the fragrance is pretty potent and I like that freshness when you first spray it. It's got leathery touches from the saffron, and then it's got the oak wood, so it's very woody, but there's got to be amber in the dry down, but it smells super fantastic. It's pretty long lasting. It is pretty potent, but once again, it's a designer. It's not extremely beast mode, which I kind of appreciate from fragrances when I know that they're parfums and things like that. But for me, the lingering power of this one is great. I almost also feel like there's a little bit of a light touch of patchouli or something when I'm wearing it, which is making it quite sexy. But either way, I really enjoyed this one, and now I want to explore the Ocean series of fragrances from Prada's Luna Rossa fragrances. The only thing I don't know about the name, it doesn't have anything oceanic about it. It's ocean, but there's no ocean here. It's just a really nice, pleasant, you know, citrusy, leathery, ambery, woody fragrance. So this is Prada Luna Rossa Le Parfum, Ocean Le Parfum. All right, this next one is Laligue's Encre Indigo. This one right here. This one did come out late last year. Let me know if you've gotten your nose on this one. This is a really great offering from the house of Laligue, a house that I really appreciate, really enjoy their fragrances. And once their fragrances end up at the discounters, you can get really great quality, designer quality fragrances for on the budget. Like these fragrances go down to as low as $30. So if you haven't gotten your nose on this one, wait for it to go to the discounters, maybe probably in the next 2 or 3 months. This will end up at the discounters. You can probably get it for as low as $50, because the Encre Noir series you can get for around $30 for 100 ml. So this is vetiver, black tea, juniper berries, pink pepper, saffron accord, patchouli, bergamot, ambergris accord. In both of these fragrances, the Boss bottled Triumph Elixir and Encre Indigo by Laligue are created by Annick Menardo. She does great work, but I much prefer Encre Indigo over the Triumph Elixir. This is a really great take on vetiver with tea. They work great together. Both of them have smoky qualities, so it kind of intensifies the quality of the vetiver and the tea in here with a bit of smokiness. But tea for me is always cozy, so there's something soothing and relaxing about this. Aromatics, spices, light leather, patchouli, citruses. Really wonderful offering from the house of Laligue. It's Encre Indigo. Let me know if you've gotten your nose on that one. Next, going to the house of Hermes. It's H24 Herbe Vives. This one right here, Herbe Vive. Have a difficult time with the French pronunciation of that. This is the third flanker of the series, or the third fragrance in the series, and my favorite. It does come in eau de parfum concentration, and it's featuring notes of fresh herbal bouquet, pear granita, and fizz cool or cycle, however you say that molecular note, which is supposed to be very aromatic and minty. So there's a light minty quality here, but that pear granita, which is a frozen pear kind of a fruitiness, gives the whole fragrance a very cooling effect. And once again, I feel like this is a perfect fragrance to be worn in the summertime when you want that cooling effect. There's definitely a cooling quality about this fragrance with the aromatics, the herbs and things like that. And of course that pear granita. Granita is basically frozen iced fruit or things like that. So I think the fragrance smells fantastic, wears amazingly. It does wear like EDP, but not beast mode or anything. Just a really nice offering for a male designer fragrance. Hermes H24 Herbe Vive. Check that out. Next, it's Caron's Pour Un Homme de Caron Parfum. Really great offering from the house of Caron. Absolutely love this. Really a more potent take on the original Caron Pour Un Homme, with loads of French lavender, French lavandin, and Turkish rose, vanilla, musk, apopanax, styrax. Really great, intense take on a lot of lavender with ambery notes. Basically taking the original, really boosting it up, making it super potent. Once again, it's from a mass market release, I should say. It's not super potent or beast mode, but you can totally tell the difference between the original in Eau de Toilette and this Parfum. This came out for the 90th anniversary of the launch of this fragrance, the original fragrance in 1934, Pour Un Homme de Caron. Next year is 100. I mean, in 10 years it's going to be 100, so we'll see what they'll do. But again, really great quality. If you like the idea of lavender, super intense lavender, in-your-face lavender with the intensity of amber and resins and vanilla, you've got to get your nose on this one. So this is Caron, Pour Un Homme de Caron Parfum. And last but not least, it's Guerlain's Habit Rouge Parfum. As my #1 fragrance of designers and mass market releases for the guys. Have you gotten your nose on this one yet? Really great quality fragrance. So this is rum, vanilla tincture, patchouli, and it is Habit Rouge to the next level. For me, it's more of a gourmand take on Habit Rouge, whereas last year's Rouge Privé was more of an animalic leathery take. In fact, if you have both, layer the two together and you'll create magic, amazing smell, because they're both Habit Rouge in the end. One's more leathery, one's more gourmand. Together, wow, absolutely amazing. Smells really, really great. But this to me is a gourmand take, as I said. It's boozy, but you still have the lemony, citrusy, leathery touches in here, and of course all the vanilla and the woods that come in here. It's super fantastic. I hope you guys get to get your nose on it. Get it at the discounters because it is a parfum which is priced much higher than your other fragrances out there, and so I think the price might deter some people from getting it, but it's definitely worth it. Again, between the 3 parfums from Guerlain, this is the best for me because it performs the best and also smells amazing. It's a really, really great smelling fragrance. Anyway, Guerlain's Habit Rouge Parfum is my #1 fragrance launch of 2024 for the guys. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances and what's missing. I know I don't own every single fragrance out there, and I don't really like to buy every single fragrance because some of them are boring and I don't like the way they smell. But let me know if I'm missing something and you think I would like it. Put a comment down below so I can find out. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.